4 races in the desert, advancing on the ice, and a look ahead at the next race. There's so much to talk about and only so little time. So, showtime starts now.
Sounds right.
Welcome back to the Announcers Podcast. I'm Derek Todoroff.
And I'm Ben Iman.
And I'm Caden Barksdale.
Believe it or not, it's been 15 minutes since we filmed the intro for this video, which you'll hear first. I don't know how much of the in-between you'll get to hear.
We might do a little supercut of what happened between...
Nothing from the last 15 minutes needs to make this show, I swear.
No, not slicing my hand open on a can. The
Kevin Harvick
rookie card collection.
For a chance to win a Kevin Harvick rookie card.
This is your reminder that we record this at 2 a.m.
We're doing a giveaway?
Yeah. Okay. We'll do the giveaway on Instagram.
Okay.
If you comment Kevin Harvick rookie card on Instagram, we will pull one at random and we will DM you. Now remember, we'll never ask for any personal information. Look for only a message from our account, not fake Announcers Curse podcast accounts.
Which there's many of.
Yeah, we won't. We're not a phishing account. So If you want to win this lovely Kevin Harvick rookie card here on my desk in time for the Mark Galloway shootout, where you can come see Kevin and Keelan Harvick at Evergreen Speedway,
you might be able to get it signed.
Yeah. The double in the desert has come and gone for us.
Yes.
We had O'Reilly, ARCA, IndyCar, and a Cup Series at Phoenix Raceway down there in Avondale, Arizona. I just have to say, I watched the IndyCar race Saturday, watched the Cup race Sunday. After watching the IndyCar race, I tuned into the Cup race, and my first thought was, man, they look slow.
It's always that way if you watch an IndyCar race and a NASCAR race back to back. NASCAR, a reminder to those of you who might be joining the sport now, NASCAR has a history at Indianapolis Raceway. However, there was a number of years they were not racing at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the oval. They were going to the road course. The first year they were back, and sure, they don't run near the Memorial Day weekend in the month of May in the Indy 500, but just the sheer comparison of these Indy cars versus, all right, and now we're going to bring the putt-putt cars around the track. They're going to go at about half the speed, a little meander on.
Is it really half?
No, it's not half, but it is.
No, I think
it is significant, but it's not.
I think Phoenix, the Cup cars are probably somewhere in I would put them in the ballpark of 130 to 150, probably. Okay. Is probably what your average speed is. IndyCar, you're taking the turns at like 160.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
I know at Indy, a qualifying lap at Indy for NASCAR, I believe, averages out to like 185. And a qualifying lap that puts you mid-pack for IndyCar is like 225.
Yeah. You're up in the twos for IndyCar at Indy. Because, I mean, at IndyCar, they're flat out.
Yeah.
You have so much downforce on those cars that you are just flat out around that oval. NASCAR, I don't think the Cup Series is flat out around Indy. I think I think you're maybe doing some coasting, probably on the brake pedal a little bit.
Turns, I believe, are sharp enough that they do tap the brake a little bit, because the very boxy turns of Indianapolis, and we'll talk more about Indianapolis when that time comes.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of unique features to Indy that lend it perfectly to IndyCar, almost like there's a big connection there. Mm-hmm. And, NASCAR also is fun there. But on the topic of Phoenix and on the topic of IndyCar, the dominant car, I'd say, was Christian driving the ECR number 21. But late in the race, he gets together with Will Power.
Oh my goodness, Derek! I just continue. But just
no.
Just the
this
two.
Is
of
the
them
moment for you. Go ahead.
Dude, it's so boneheaded for both of them. I just mean, dude, it was one of those. Two cars come together, and both of them, I think, managed to stay on the track. I don't know exactly where they finished, but Rasmussen hung out there and tried to tried to hold on to the lead, but it was a little tiny helpless lamb in alligator-infested waters from the moment it happened.
It really didn't help that Christian Rasmussen, for some reason, decided his best bet was to stay out and not pit for new tires.
Yeah, that also killed him.
So what happened?
And-
I didn't watch this one.
They were just battling
So-
for the lead, and Rasmussen,
Yeah.
I think, tried to hang around on the outside. It didn't stick, and they just kind of. I think did power come up the track a little
I
bit?
believe he got a little loose.
Yeah, they just like I said,
Both
the arrow is so important with the IndyCar. Is kind of like your open wheel, type car. So it's important for NASCAR too. But I just mean,
Well, power cut a tire, and that's what brought out the caution. Rasmussen did not have any visible damage. He did not pit at all. He did not spin out. And that is what cost him in the end. He didn't have the tires to compete with Josef Newgarden, who should be brought up at this point, the actual winner of the race.
We drove from 20th to the win.
Wow.
Yes. Hey, maybe that'll come up again. A Penske car going from the back to the front.
In Phoenix? Foreshadowing.
Subtle foreshadowing. Foreshadowing is a literary technique used.
So, but yeah, Joseph.
I do want to say Newgarden and Rasmussen exchanged the lead. Rasmussen loses the lead to Kyle Kirkwood, who also stayed out, and Kirkwood held on longer. Kirkwood had an undamaged car, and he got to clean air, and he looked like he maybe had it if it was 5 laps shorter. But Kirkwood gets past Rasmussen with 15. Rasmussen finishes 14th in this race.
Backed it up.
The car just was gone. Once he was not in clean air, that car did not look the same. He could not navigate the traffic well and became a moving chicane for some of these drivers further back, like Alexander Rossi and Pato O'Ward.
Yeah, it's obviously his finish is not indicative of his performance. But yeah, the minute he got passed up, it was over. And Kirkwood held on for a while, but Josef Newgarden, fresh tires, man. It was and he had been hunting his way forward all day. And of course, IndyCar does not have stage breaks. So, this is just clean racing, from start to finish.
Wouldn't it be nice?
Yes. Yes and no. Yes and no. I would be more, we can talk about the stage thing, with NASCAR, but I would be more inclined to say that I think, and I'm willing to go out on a limb here, I think the overall product of the Gen 7 car is better because they stage race than if they didn't. Because tire wear has not been the same issue it has. Because
this week
Phoenix Goodyear subtly, before we're going to loop back to the IndyCar or finish this conversation, but I'll just say Goodyear subtly throwing shade at the NASCAR crew chiefs on Twitter gave me a really good chuckle this weekend. I don't know if either of you had the chance to see that.
I don't believe so.
I'm not surprised.
It was I will look it up here real fast, but because they have a recommended tire pressure, and sometimes the teams don't always like to follow that. But once Josef Newgarden got to the lead, it was over. He was gone and cleaned it up and takes the big thing is that the championship leader, Derek, Alex Palou, out very early.
For the first time since 2024, Alex Palou is not leading the IndyCar point standings.
Give it to Josef Newgarden. Here it is real fast. So they tweeted out on the 6th of March at 8 a.m. Phoenix tire details for the weekend. Engineers already ran the numbers, and they just given some, what tire it is, the tire pressures, and the length of the track and the left sides. And then anyway, where was this one? At 10:30 a.m. on the 8th. So that was Sunday in the morning. Before we go racing, remember the recommended tire pressures weren't guesses.
So they probably knew. That's
Goodyear's pinned tweet. You can't see my phone; it's blurred. But that's Goodyear's pinned tweet.
Wow.
Right now.
Wow.
That's something. IndyCar works out with the Firestones, and they take it home. Well. Josef Newgarden with the race win, Kyle Kirkwood in second, and David Malukas picks up a podium spot for Team Penske. Good day for Team Penske overall.
Great day for Team Penske.
All of their cars really had good runs. Scott McLaughlin was in the mix at the end as well. And while we're not going to see all three cars have great days, as we pivot over into the NASCAR side of things, think about Penske. But first, we have to make a stop in the ARCA series, which technically was before this race was.
Yep.
We're announcers, so I feel really comfortable saying this podcast. And, this is harsh. I will admit. the start of that broadcast and the green flag call for that ARCA race at Phoenix is the single worst piece of racing announcing I have ever heard in my life.
Oh, no, I didn't even
Wow.
see it.
Coming off of turn 1 and 2, the pace car pulls into the pits, which are situated off of 2. They're on the backstretch of this track. And the lead broadcaster goes, and they take the green flag. We're away in Phoenix. And they proceed at caution pace through the backstretch, through turn 3, and start speeding up at 4. And they're already talking like they're racing.
Jump the gun a bit.
It wasn't Eric Brennan, was it?
I don't know who it was. I just, whoever it was either didn't know what was happening, wasn't used to this track, or forgot that NASCAR moved the start finish line a couple of years back off of the backstretch and onto the trial. ARCA is rough. That's very simple, the way to put that. 4 of the 5 female drivers in the race were involved in one crash that started with Taylor Mayhew ran into Mia Lavelle. And we like Taylor Mayhew on this podcast. We're very open about liking him. He was a cool guy. I got to meet him when he came up to Evergreen last year. I mean, he was Ben's pick to win this race. But
I believe Mia was mine.
Mia was yours.
Yeah.
Not the best move in the world, and it took out a lot of cars. Just parking lot on the backstretch. Kudos to Haley Deegan for avoiding that wreck and not making it a clean 5 for 5.
Wow.
It was ARCA brakes, baby. That's what we're used to. That entire race was Carson Brown. There was not a moment where it looked like someone other than Carson Brown would win that race.
Hold on,
Yeah,
was it on International Women's Day too?
I don't believe so. This was actually last Thursday.
Oh, okay. Close.
Which is a weird day to run any kind of race. Not Friday. No, we're running Thursday.
I want to take ARCA seriously. I really do, Derek. But then
you're more interested in it than they are.
Like, just for context, Alex Club of Club Racing posted how much money it cost them to bring 2 cars and run the ARCA race at Phoenix. And I look at the dollar amount, and it just makes me kind of go, why? Why does anyone do this? Why does anyone do this that isn't super rich or a development program, is what I say. Their 2-car run, which, by the way, one of them had issues and didn't actually run the weekend, but their 2-car run, if they both would have run, was about $32,000.
Oh.
For the one weekend.
That's crazy.
At a point, this is really where we start asking this question. And I don't remember if we've expressed this opinion on the podcast before. What purpose is ARCA serving now?
It's an introductory series to getting people on ovals bigger than a mile.
Is it?
Yeah, because you have to go
at this point.
Go run ARCA races to get truck clearance.
Kind of.
I mean, yeah. How much ARCA they're making you run is another question. It's objective that you have to go run something. It's subjective.
But I'll also note the Rolex 24 is one of the things that they'll consider. The Trans Am series is something they'll consider now. ARCA isn't doing anything special right now.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe the main series is offering that introductory idea. But that's what the truck series is for.
Right.
And ARCA is not developing drivers anymore. I can name 2 drivers I'd say were truly developed in ARCA. And even they are a bit of stretches, those being Jesse Love and Corey Heim, both saw success running with ARCA and have come up and seen success afterwards. I'm not counting Ty Gibbs. I refuse to count Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs got in Gibbs equipment, then got in Gibbs equipment, and then got in Gibbs equipment. That's nothing special there. But we're not seeing that same anymore. Connor Zilic didn't come from late models and then into ARCA and then into trucks and Xfinity. Connor Zilic ran IMSA and Trans Am.
And European
then a couple of ARCA races, a full Xfinity season. Now he's in the Cup Series. And I'm not saying Connor Zilic is a bad driver. He's not. He's very good.
One of the best.
I think he's very much the future of the sport.
I
but
agree.
My point is, when the future of your sport isn't coming from your sports developmental pipeline, what does that say?
Yeah.
If the MLB starts drafting players and none of them ever see playing time except for 1 or 2 in the big leagues, but you got guys from the NBA hitting dingers out into left field and dominating this world stage. What does it say about your system? You'd scrap them in your leagues because they're not doing their job anymore.
Derek, I think you actually gave a more realistic analogy of how the MLB pipeline system works than you meant to, but that's okay. Yeah, I definitely think.
Hey, look, I chose my league very well. I don't know a ton of NBA, MLB players who were good at Jordan tried, and I've seen Jordan's stats.
He was not very good.
I obviously not NBA, but you got it. But it was Bo Jackson, and Deion Sanders, probably the two.
Yeah.
That made that football baseball crossover. But no, I think it's the problem is you say it's the truck series, right? The truck series can be your place to get in over. But the problem with the truck series is the truck series has gotten away from what it was, because yes, it was your chance to get in at the 1.5 miles, and it was your chance to run Daytona, but it also used to go run short tracks on the West Coast, and it ran, small ovals, and they've completely gone away from that, And
that's because the truck series wasn't meant to be a developmental series.
No.
This is the thing a lot of people forget. The truck series was never meant to be developmental. It was meant to be for the drivers who either, for lack of a better term, flunked out of the big leagues or, wanted to have one last hurrah as old-time drivers. The Busch series is the developmental series. It's always been intended to do that. The truck series wasn't and has become that.
Yeah. And I mean,
and I'm all for the truck series going back to these smaller ovals and that sort of deal. But we're at a point where ARCA is not doing its job anymore. We are not developing talent, and certainly not ARCA West and ARCA East. They are crumbling in front of us.
Yeah.
We are not seeing car counts for races that are not backed by the main series. And I'm seeing bigger races for the Cars Tour West and the mainline Cars Tour out east than I am for these ARCA races. And that's absolutely ridiculous.
And you're seeing more Cars Tour late model stock and late model drivers make the jump to O'Reilly. Carson Kvapil, it's a great example recently. Butterbean, Mini Tyrell, another great example recently. And I'm sure there's more.
Well, and even let's leave cars behind. Patrick Staropoli is not a ARCA driver.
He's a late model guy.
He's a modified guy, but
both.
Preece. Ryan Preece does not come from an ARCA background.
Nope.
Hell, we can go further back. AJ Allmendinger is a former IndyCar driver. Juan Pablo Montoya was a former IndyCar driver. Shane Van Gisbergen won 5 races last year, and he drove V8 supercars, and he's older than 75% of this NASCAR.
Yeah. I think ARCA needs to have a good long look in the mirror and kind of figure out how is it sustainable to be something. And I don't think they have it. But in Phoenix, it was Carson Brown and Taylor Mayhew, my pick, finished round inside the top 10. Caden Lavelle had issues, and Derek, you had a good run too. I guess you can flaunt a little bit.
Front row did not change the entire race. It was just Tristan McKee chasing down Carson Brown. It was honestly absurd and very reminiscent of the World Series of Asphalt at New Smyrna, where we saw the same thing, just in
the same thing. I know. So we will see what ARCA does next. The series splits up for a little bit. We get kind of our east-west kind of introductory races. We're not going to pick many ARCA races, but this was one worth picking for us.
Yeah.
Moving on up, the O'Reilly series. No trucks. Trucks off last weekend. So we moved to the O'Reilly series.
Off this week as well.
Yeah, trucks getting 2 weeks off. So O'Reilly series from Phoenix. This one was kind of, I don't remember much of this race. I didn't get a chance to actually sit down and watch it, unfortunately. But it was following the IndyCar race. Good one, bad one, kind of somewhere in between.
The way I'd put it is that Jesse Love got to experience exactly what his good friend Connor Zilic did last year on a smaller scale. Jesse Love was the best car at Phoenix this week. Just running top of the line, dominating the stages, really just looked like he had the best car. And in the end, the cards fell the wrong way, and Allgaier gets to win the race, and Jesse Love stares into the crowd and wonders what could have been, which, again, for those of you who are not racing people joining us and experiencing this like Caden is, for the first time. Last year, Connor Zilic won 10 races in the Xfinity Series. He dominated the season, including missing a full race for a fractured vertebrae, recovering from a broken shoulder after he fell out of a car, giving his car over to our good friend Parker Kligerman,
who won the race,
who then won that race. He was hot at the end of that season, dominating, showing off what that 88 could do. And it all comes down to Phoenix, where Jesse Love just has the better car this one time. In any other points format, if you're doing F1, if you're doing Winston Cup, if you're doing the Chase, if you're doing full season using our current system, your champion is Connor Zilic. But because of the playoffs, he moves up the ladder with no trophy in hand, and Jesse Love gets a shiny new piece of hardware to put up on the mantle.
Yeah, so that was heartbreaking, I think, for everyone. And I'm a big Jesse Love fan, big time Jesse Love fan, and but that was heartbreaking for Zilic. And so back at Phoenix, and Justin Allgaier heads back to victory lane for the first time. Which, by the way, shout out to Justin Allgaier, a decade of winning. He has won an O'Reilly / Xfinity / Busch / Nationwide race, at least one every year for 10 straight years.
Wow, that's impressive.
A decade of winning for Mr.
Has that been
Mr.
done before?
Yes.
Yeah,
I believe it has. But the sentiment I saw expressed on Twitter that I really agree with is, while Justin Allgaier has missed his Cup Series shot, Allgaier's not going to get another chance to go impress in the Cup Series. But he's made his reputation here in the Busch and Wide Net Auto Parts Series. Busch and Wide. Busch and Wide Affinity. Whatever. You get the idea. The Grand National Series.
Busch and Wide Affinity. Look, it doesn't roll as well as the Los Oclamento A's, but
it used Xfinity. Busch Series and Xfinity Series sound so good. And the other two are so clunky in comparison. That's why those two have always been used so interchangeably. When it was the Nationwide Series, everyone called it the Busch Series. Then it became the Xfinity Series, and that rolled nicely. So it was the Xfinity Series. And now it's the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. Even the acronym for that is terrible. NOAPS? What on earth is that?
No apps.
Anyways, my point. Where was I going with this? Oh, yeah. The sentiment I saw expressed on Twitter was that, he's missed his shot. But if you want to be a top-tier driver in the Cup Series, you want to show what you can do, you've got to beat Justin Allgaier. You got to show that you can do that week in and week out. Connor Zilic did that. I think Jesse Love has proven that. And the pre-drivers that come up through the ranks have done that. They've shown they can beat Allgaier. They can hang with the best. And a smaller little piece, since Penske's kind of an overarching theme of this weekend. Allgaier was a Penske driver way back at the start of his career. And one's got to wonder, what if the cards play out a little bit differently? What happens if it's the Brandt number 12 driven by Justin Allgaier?
Mm-hmm.
Would he have done something, made a splash in the Cup Series?
He definitely
We're never
has
going to know.
Talent. He's definitely enough of a wheelman that he could have. I think Justin Allgaier gets to play kingmaker of this second series. I think is the best way to say it. If you can best Allgaier over a season regularly, if you can beat him one-on-one, if you can shake and bake him for a win, you probably deserve a shot in the Cup Series. But if every time you see the 7 and your spotter calls out the 7s behind you and you go, man, because it's over, you might be realizing you're peaking in high school. So,
that's a good way to put it.
I think a couple other ones to shout out from Phoenix, maybe Jeb Burton, top 10 finishes 7th for him in the 27. Sam Mayer came home 5th, Sheldon Creed 4th, a pair of Haas cars there inside the top 10. A good run for Sammy Smith, who started the year 5th, 30th, 3rd, and 6th. So Sammy Smith showing good run in the junior car. It's a junior car, but showing a good run in, obviously. Anthony Alfredo picks up the top 10. Man, after failing to qualify in for Daytona to top 10 at Phoenix, glad to see Vikings kind of figuring it out. Like to see Parker Retzlaff start to turn the corner a little bit. I mean, he finished 14th in this one and has a second place finish at a super speedway, but Viking looking a lot stronger this year.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see what happened with them. I know a lot of people were critical of the decision to let Matt DiBenedetto go and bring in Retzlaff and Alfredo. I think it might play out in their favor. Retzlaff is a really likable driver, and who knows what the future holds. Alfredo especially. And speaking of him, I think he's the perfect transition into the NASCAR Cup Series, where Anthony Alfredo is substituting for Alex Bowman the week after we have, what was it, 15, 20 minutes discussing the future of Alex Bowman in the NASCAR Cup Series. He's out with vertigo, and it's not connected, according to reports, to what took him out of the car at COTA. He's expected to get a playoff waiver if he hasn't already by the time this comes out. But now he's behind the 8-ball even further.
It almost feels like there has to be a long-term discussion about his health. I'm going
to compare Alex Bowman to another former Hendrick fourth car driver. And I hope you know this comparison hurts me to make.
Mm.
Following his time at Hendrick, Casey Kane drove for Levine Family Racing. There was one race in his final season where Kane gets out of the car claiming to be just super dehydrated, collapses, is taken to the hospital. That is Casey Kane's last NASCAR start until last season at Rockingham.
Yeah.
I don't want Bowman's career to end like this. Let me make that abundantly clear. I'm not an Alex Bowman fan. I'm not an Alex Bowman defender. But he's taken concussions. We know that in the past. And you have to wonder when you hang up the helmet. I feel for him. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, we lost Kurt Busch to the same thing just 3 years ago, which that feels insane to say, by the way. You have to think about your family. You have to think about your future. You can't just focus on the now. And I hope Bowman does. I think he will. And I do think Alex Bowman will finish this season, but I don't know about the future of Ally Bank and that number 48 car.
Yeah, it's definitely worrisome, from the long-term health of Alex Bowman to the 48 car. Allied is signed on through 2028. So if it's Bowman or if it's a new driver, they'll have some backing, which means they'll hopefully give them some chance to survive being the fourth Hendrick driver. I hope it's a speedy recovery. I hope he's healthy and back in the car as soon as possible. And I hope we can wash this conversation and we can start to judge Alex Bowman's performances again solely by his performances. And it's also a bummer that we didn't really get to see much of Anthony Alfredo. The car turned into a rocket ship, and I don't mean it was fast. I mean it literally came off the ground during the race at Phoenix, and he was collected up in an incident. Yeah, it's tough. We can talk about lots of, injury what ifs in sports. They don't normally come up. They don't normally come up in NASCAR as much. There are some great ones in NASCAR that don't get brought up enough. But I can think of plenty of guys in the NBA or in the NFL. Or, man, how many times have I looked at myself in the mirror and said, what if Derrick Rose hadn't have blown his leg up like that? How many MVPs does he have? But yeah, this race at Phoenix was surely something. And I think to sum it up, the best way to sum up the Phoenix race is, I'm going to paraphrase here slightly, but to paraphrase the Phoenix IndyCar winner, Josef Newgarden. Man, a guy like that, it's got to have a lot of testosterone in his body. Referring to Ryan Blaney's mustache mid-race. Yeah, Josef Newgarden, while wearing a giant Ryan Blaney shirt, by the way, talking about how much he loves Ryan Blaney and is a big fan of Ryan Blaney. Quote, paraphrasing. I'm not getting the quote specifically on, but there's got to be a lot of testosterone in that man.
Just like jerks and profile.
Other great moments from the whole IndyCar NASCAR weekend include Michael Waltrip walking up to David Malukas, standing next to Ryan Blaney on the grid walk, and asking what they're talking about, and David Malukas admitting that he's showing Blaney a pigeon meme. I don't even know what that means.
How much I'd pay to know what that is. That's awesome.
We do love David Malukas. The real story of this race, though, was tires. I'll cut to the chase. I picked Chase Briscoe to win this race. and his tire exploded and put him in the wall.
Yeah.
The JGR cars were fast, not as fast as the Penske cars, but they looked great. And Briscoe was one of them. The tire gods giveth and the tire gods taketh away. And it took away pretty effectively.
It's been an awful start to the season for Briscoe. He finds himself in quite the hole to dig himself out of. This year, the 19 car starting in the races that count, 36th, 2nd, 37th, 37th.
Wow.
So it is a big hole for Chase Briscoe to climb out of. Now, I believe in Chase Briscoe and his ability to dig himself out of this hole. So I'm not writing him off yet.
Bit of an intermediate ace as well.
When we start getting to some of those mile and a halves, watch out for the 19 car start to come alive. I have to denote that your Xfinity fast time car finished 31st, and Joey Logano also got swept up in an instant. I think the 22 was probably better than the 12, Derek. And I think if he doesn't get swept up in an instant, we would have seen Blaney and Logano battling each other out in the end. There,
the 22 car was better than the 12, and the 12's driver had the edge over the 22's driver.
Sure,
Blaney was running a better race, and I have to wonder if, put in the opposite situation, I don't think Logano holds off Bell at the end of this one.
Very possible. Ty Gibbs finishes fourth, back-to-back fourth-place finishes, starting to kind of come together. Ty Gibbs' comment on pit road following the race. I don't know if you guys saw this, but his comment about now that he's got the right guys around him who believe in him, and talked about loyalty, and clearly all very meticulously danced around the Chris Gabehart situation. Now, none of us are lawyers by trade, and therefore are not able to really decipher the lawsuit all that much, but it's getting pretty bad. It's a pretty petty fight between Chris Gabehart and the Gibbs family, and it's spilling over onto pit road. So I had to just denote that.
I don't know, Ty Gibbs. Denny Hamlin won plenty of races with Gabehart on the box. Man, I see what Gibbs wants out of this. I see where Gibbs is come from, but I gotta say, Gibbs had a better shot at this win than Christopher Bell did.
Yeah.
He started up higher. He had a better run. He had that edge, and he didn't capitalize. I understand that Bell didn't either, but in a moment of X Factor, you have to make the move. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it's a fear factor or what, but I watched Ty Gibbs almost wreck Christopher Bell before that final caution, looking for the lead. And I looked over at the person who was watching it with me, and I just said, oh, so this is just Martinsville all over again.
Yeah.
He's not a team player. And it's horrifically ironic complaining about anything regarding the team from the guy who was like, yeah, I know I'm locked into the playoffs, but what if instead of letting my teammate win, I totaled his car on the outside wall?
That's crazy.
And I get it. A lot of people have been saying, oh, that was so long ago. And it was. Oh, he's changed. Yeah, he has changed. He stopped winning.
Yeah, Ty Gibbs still looking for that first Cup Series win. Although, my prediction, I said he would get it this year, Derek. And he's looking a lot faster to start the season. A few more drivers to note.
He won $1 million last year, and that didn't change much.
Tyler Reddick ends his win streak, but still finishes in the top 10, finishes 8th. Michael McDowell comes home 9th for Spire Motorsports in the 71. And Shane Van Gisbergen finishes 11th in the 97. They said on the broadcast that he had kind of said top 15 was their goal. He started, I think, 16th or 17th on the day. And basically the team was like, if we can finish in the top 15, we're going to be really happy. And comes home 11th. SVG starting to become a threat everywhere.
Yeah.
I know that Caden has a thing to talk about. And I'm going to give him the floor here in a second. But this is SVG's really starting the season strong. One of the things I want to point out is not only did he get this top 15, but it was very similar to Atlanta, where he actually spun out and had problems over the day that he overcame to get these top 15. Mm-hmm. SVG is figuring these tracks out. And I got to say this, do I think he's a championship? No, but I'm suddenly doubting my prediction that he's not going to do super well in the chase all of a sudden, because he's looking good. He's consistent, and he's looking like a NASCAR driver. Mm-hmm. He's Casey Kane again. I'm using this comparison yet again, where he's running consistently at these ovals. he's getting good results. He's getting enough wins to be in the picture. And I don't know if he's ever a champion. I think maybe if he came into this sport 10 years ago instead of supercars, he could be. But for a man of his age, he's performing at such a high caliber.
I think if he can start to consistently finish anywhere between 10th and 20th on the ovals, he will be a championship threat. I do. Will he win it? I don't know. That's a whole other conversation. Will we be sitting here and go, man, SVG's got a real shot at it this year? Yes, absolutely, because he'll have the road course wins, or he'll have the good finishes on road course if he's not winning. Mm-hmm. He can't seem to figure Coda out, which is the one that surprises me. It's the one where the NASCAR drivers go, we still got it to the New Zealander, and then he wipes the floor with them everywhere else they go. He's going to wipe the floor at Coronado. I already know it. Just also wanted to note, shout out Eric Jones, top 10 finish in the 43 for Legacy Motor Club, came home 10th. Yeah, drivers kind of all over the board on this one. I thought it was fun that the RFK cars all finished in a line too, Derek. I don't know if you noticed that, but
yeah.
So, and I think the overarching story from Phoenix was just tires blowing up left and right.
Yeah, I know we touched on that a couple times earlier, but what was going on with that? Like, you would think that
tire pressures,
they would figure it out though after the first two, maybe.
Well, so this reminds me of Summer Showdown 2025.
Okay.
So this last year's Showdown, we had multiple cars in practice spin out, blow a tire, had one hit the wall pretty hard, and there was a lot of questions about what was up with the Hoosier tires that we were running. And the ultimate solution that they ended up making was after the start of the race and after the halfway break, after was it 10 laps, 15 laps, we ran down the back of the 3/8, which we had sprayed down with water with the fire truck, and had them run the tires through water so that they would cool them rapidly, so they would stop blowing.
Wow.
When the realistic answer was probably the teams were just manipulating the tire pressures too much. And to your point, Kane, about, after the first two, why don't they? You're set up and locked into a setup with whatever tire pressure in mind.
Okay.
So you can adjust tire pressures, absolutely, and you can put more into it, but you're not adjusting your setup between qualifying and the race.
Sure.
And so when you get into the race and your tire explodes after 30-something laps, and you go, which, by the way, stage run, they ran completely green, by the way, just to denote, you're going to kind of go, uh-oh. And there's obviously changes you could make, but probably not as much as you'd think.
Okay.
And here's the other side of things. Why do it in the first place? Why don't you do the recommended tire pressures? If the tire is more deflated, if it's touching the track surface, and if you know more about this than me and you're listening to this, please feel free to correct me. But my understanding is that there's more of the tire surface on the track surface, which means a little bit more grip, a little bit more push off a corner. And maybe that's 0.05 of a second. And in a close quarters race, that's a lot of time.
And over 300
That's a lot of time
laps.
you can make up over the course of the event. And so that's what they're aiming for. That's why you bend the rules. That's why you try the other things. The price you pay in exchange is your car just trying to kill you.
Yeah.
Yep. And so, but unfortunately, this is where we're at with the Gen 7 car, is that NASCAR's had to lean on Goodyear and go, make them dag more, make them dag more, make them dag more, make them dag more. And it's just, and Goodyear's like, there's only so much we can do. You know what I mean? Like,
and keep the car safe.
And keep the car safe. Like, we're not going to, if NASCAR wants to get funky, every tire should have a remote explosive inside it. And at any
That's
point,
an awesome idea.
At any point, a random fan in the grandstands can hit a button and one of them detonates and deflates.
But they don't know which one it is?
Nope.
Oh my God.
All-star race, baby. All-car race.
NASCAR hit us up.
NASCAR all-car race this year. Look, we threw a promoter's caution at the last all-star race. We could flip, and Michael Waltrip lost the flag on the
front. Do not defend this.
Whoa.
I will say, kind of on that idea, I was talking with Ryan Clark this morning, and we were discussing how the Gen 7 runs perfectly at the tracks the Gen 6 was not good at. The issue is that The Gen 6 was pretty good at road courses, pretty good at short tracks, and really bad at the cookie cutters. So we get great cookie cutter races. I don't remember the last intermediate race I watched where I wasn't entertained by the next gen car. I definitely remember the last short track where that's not an intermediate race.
Sorry, I meant to say Kansas, but you know what I mean.
There you go. Kansas has been great.
Yeah.
But speaking of Kansas and speaking of the next gen car, one driver who's really figured out that car over the season that he's been with 2311 has been Bubba Wallace. And on that, I know Caden has a couple of things to say about
Before we move on from Cup Series, I just wanted to shout out Bubba Wallace because although Reddick ended his streak today, or this week, I should say, Wallace stepped up for 2311 and went from 28th to 6th in this race. So do we have a new king of 2311? Does Michael Jordan have a new favorite NASCAR driver? Or is Reddick going to rebound? What do you guys think?
I will tell you this. Bubba Wallace was hired first. So I think whatever 2311 did this offseason has me saying one thing every single time these cars come home top 10, wins. Has me saying the same thing. Oh, man, if it was Corey Heim in the 35. Oh, man, if it was Corey Heim full time. Now, I think he would be somewhere between at like 10th to 15th, 20th. That's that SVG range. Like, how much have we lauded Connor Zilic, and he has just struggled out the gate because the Cup cars are a beast, and it is there's growing pains to all of it. But I can't help myself just thinking, what if Corey Heim was in the 35 right now with the cars that 2311 has brought? Man,
and even then, Corey Heim was in the Fast 10 for Daytona in the 4th 2311 car.
Yeah, I mean, Riley Herbst hasn't even run bad. He ran 8th.
Riley, who is a terrible driver, who is unexciting and boring and here because his name brings money with him. Even a driver as terrible as Riley Herbst is right now in 2311 equipment is ahead of Todd Gilliland, Ricky Stenhouse, Eric Jones, Austin Dillon, Austin Cindric, Josh Berry, Chase Briscoe, Connor Zilic, and Alex Bowman.
Thank you for saying Todd Bowman first.
In there.
That is the most impressive.
He's the highest of the people I named. But that is 9 fairly good drivers. I mean, I'm skipping Noah Gragson in there, Cole Custer, who are both former greats in Xfinity. But Cindric and Briscoe are on the top tier teams. Jones is supposed to be one of the most consistent forces in this series. Josh Berry was in the playoffs last year. And these are being outperformed by Riley Herbst.
And look, the Herbst, family, big time racing family, in the trophy trucks and, running the Baja 1000. And so, I mean, look, Riley, when he ran for Stuart Haas in the Xfinity Series and when he ran that, he was competitive, but was he competitive because he was driving for a Stuart Haas car? And at the time, they were one of the top tier Xfinity teams, and Ford actually looked like a threat places.
Yeah, his teammate won the championship.
Exactly. So I don't want to write him off. I think last year was like a horrendous year. I mean, if he can do this, if he can finish, somewhere, but like again, he finished 18th. I don't care what he did on the road course. If he can run somewhere in there, you're going. If you can run between, if you can get some top fives rolling, which is I know a lot, but kind of running there, you're going to be flirting with the chase ultimately. Just if you can run consistently 16th all season long, you'll be flirting with it. But so
I do definitely think you have a point, Caden. This 2311 team is dangerous. Bubba Wallace is 3rd in points.
Yeah.
Tyler Reddick is 1st. And I mean Riley Herbst is 24th despite being Riley Herbst.
Yeah, I think Bubba is a threat to win again. And I think last year when they were able to get the weight off their back, picking up a win and winning a crown jewel, winning at the Brickyard, and so I definitely think, I think people love to hate on Bubba Wallace, and I don't, but he's obviously a very talented driver. I wish he wouldn't drive legend cars, but that's just a personal opinion. Although he did give Scott McLaughlin a ride in one, which I wish I could have seen in person. But so, yeah, Kane, I think you bring up a good point, which is I think Michael Jordan's got to be pretty happy with his investment right now.
Yeah.
And imagine if they wouldn't have won this lawsuit and the team would have folded and we would have been robbed of all this. Would have sucked. So,
yeah,
big shout out Judge Kenneth Bell and helping those teams get to a settlement. So we got to make some picks if there's nothing to bring up left from Phoenix as we go to Sin City, Las Vegas with the O'Reilly Series and the Cup Series.
And that's it this week.
Yeah, it's a kind of a light week. So we'll start with O'Reilly. Derek, you got a pick for Vegas.
I'm the leadoff hitter this time. Well, Vegas is an intermediate track, one of the cookie cutters, the 1.5 miles, tri-ovals. There's so many drivers that I'm interested to see how they do. But taking a look at the Xfinity Series point standings, there's a couple of names jumping out. Obviously, Allgaier, Love, and Hill sitting at the top of the board right now. But I'm looking at that cutoff, and I'm looking at a driver who is currently outside of the picture on tiebreaker. Is a driver that I think I have picked. I picked last year just an unholy amount. I'm trying to see. Let's see. How many times did I pick this driver in 2025? There's 4, 5. And yeah, he appears to be my most picked driver of the previous season. I don't see a reason for that to change. Driver of the number 54, give me Taylor Gray.
Derek liked to pick Taylor Gray a handful last year. I don't blame him. You don't know how badly I just want to say Kyle Larson in the 88, seeing that he is so goated at this track. I won't do it. I'll leave it for you, Caden.
Thank you.
But I will take Jesse Love. Jesse Love has improved his finish in every single race this year, going from 9th at Daytona to 5th at Atlanta, 4th at Coda, and then 2nd at Phoenix. So there's only one spot he can get left. So give me Jesse Love at Las Vegas.
Yeah, I am tempted by the other RCR car of Austin Hill here, but I think I'm going to go with the safe pick of Kyle Larson at Vegas.
Editor put booing over the sound of Austin Hill's name.
I will not be doing that.
I've had a theme in the O'Reilly series. I am now just realizing only picking junior motorsports and RCR cars. I should branch out a little bit. Long season, plenty of time to go.
I'm the only one with a rip from every manufacturer so far in the O'Reilly series.
That's true.
Yeah.
When we get to Darlington, you got to pick a Chevy, Ben, and then you can do that with the truck series.
Okay, there we go.
Well, just to remind you all, our picks for I forgot our picks for Las Vegas 1. Oh, this is the one where I have the deranged pick that doesn't match the other ones.
Yes, you do.
Our picks for Las Vegas, driving the number 12, Caden went with RYAN Blaney, Ben went with the logical option of Kyle Larson, and I took one of my very famous Derek swings on John Hunter Nemechek.
Yeah.
Who I have to admit I really thought would be doing better at this point in the season. Not necessarily to say he's doing bad, just not well. He's outperforming his teammate as high of a bar as that is to clear. But that's motorsports news. Of course, the IndyCar Series also over at the Arlington Street Course, racing around Jerry's World. We'll see how that turns out. It'll go how it goes.
Yeah, it's interesting. Kind of seeing a race around stadium renaissance in America. Miami around, Hard Rock, and now racing around Jerry World. I've always wanted an open wheel racing series race in the Soto district, and I think we can make it happen, boys.
I think we should make them run while light rails running, and they got to dodge the light rail crossings.
That's a figure 8 race.
Hey, I'm not against it.
3 hour of sound transit. Ryan Clark, what do you think?
Let us know in the comments what you think, Ryan Clark.
Ryan Clark.
Yeah, that's not foreshadowing.
One of the other stories I do want to give some love to is, for those of you who don't know, I cover the Seattle Totems as their broadcaster in the USPHL. The Totems have finished their home games this year, defeating in the best-of-3 series 2-0 the Bremerton Sockeyes. There was lots of fighting, lots of just aggression, lots of fast-paced hockey.
Crazy series.
But in the end, the totems prevail. And I gotta say, it's so special to get to do these. I missed 2 games all year long, so I announced 20 games of these totems. Ben filled in for me on the other 2. Caden's always been a huge totems fan, and
Made most of them this
from
year.
from the bottom of our hearts, like, we love this team.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love this team. Roman Wolanek is the team's leader in points for their entire history. He's the league leader in assists all time in a career. It'll be different when we come next year and some of these players are gone.
The 05 guys.
But just a salute to the Seattle Totems and a great season in the green and white.
Yeah. Go catch them next year if you can. It's definitely worth it.
Or travel to Vernal. It's not too late.
Or travel to Vernal, Utah, which we will not be doing.
No.
It's closer to Colorado.
We have
than I
other
thought.
plans. We're going to go watch different hockey on Saturday, actually.
Yes. If you want to join the Announcers Curse podcast at the Tips game, look for us in the stands.
Hey, everybody loves the Silver Tips, and if you don't love the Silver Tips, you better not be living in the Snohomish County area.
Fair enough.
That is the only acceptable reason not to. And continuing on the hockey theme, last episode I did an NHL update. So just give you a bit of a rundown on what happened here in week 19 for the NHL. First things first, the Bermuda Triangle of Mediocrity, the Ottawa Senators, Detroit Red Wings, and Buffalo Sabres are breaking up. The Senators continue to stick below the cut line, but the Sabres and the Red Wings in playoff positions right now. In fact, the Buffalo Sabres are on top of the Atlantic Division. They have not been good while I've been alive, so this is fairly shocking to me, admittedly. And hey, they beat the Lightning. They look like the best team in the Atlantic. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And on the other side of things, the Hurricanes came over on a West Coast swing, faced off against the Canucks, clubbed them, faced off against the Kraken, and dropped a game against Seattle. Seattle, who's this week, still grabbing a one against the Metro leaders, who are tip-top shape right now. Is certainly good. Penguins get back Sidney Crosby. They hold on to their second spot in the Metropolitan Division. Over in the Western Conference, it had to end eventually for the Dallas Stars. Their win streak is snapped against the Colorado Avalanche. Their arch rivals, who are the top of the NHL right now, 95 points, have figured it out on a 5-game win streak, and part of that against Dallas. Those 2 teams are vying for the top of the NHL, for the President's Trophy right now. Of course, bear in mind that no team who's won the President's Trophy since 2013 has won the Stanley Cup, but hey, it's a nice piece of hardware to add to your collection, and Avs and the Stars are going to put on such a great show when they inevitably meet in the playoffs. Anaheim Ducks lead the Pacific Division, the Golden Knights behind them, Oilers behind them, which brings me to the bad news, actually. The Seattle Kraken are floundering a little bit. They pick up that win against Carolina and then drop 2. Not what you need right now, especially you're 3 points back from the Oilers and only 1 point ahead of the Sharks and the Kings, both of whom are, best word I can use is very desperate. These teams both want to prove that they are not doomed. They are not bad. In order to do that, they will do anything. The Sharks and Celebrini have a lot of potential, but you need to do something now. And with that, the NHL heads into week 20. Had some games that they played today, but looking ahead to games that will be played after this podcast episode comes out, the Red Wings and the Lightning face off in what's sure to be a great test of the teams at the top of the East right now. The Predators and Canucks have to decide who's worse, while the Seattle Kraken, oh boy, Thursday night at 7 p.m., tune on into your local hockey channel, because the Kraken have a chance to down the big guns. The Avalanche come to Climate Pledge Arena on Thursday. So top of the NHL versus a team trying to scrape their way in. That's some must-see hockey. Avalanche Kraken, that is on Thursday. Friday, of course, sees the Kings and the Islanders, Blues and the Oilers. Then Saturday, if you're not joining us at the Tips game, why not tune into your TV and watch the Canucks get their weekly thrashing by another team, this one being the Kraken this time around. or Hurricanes Lightning, certainly set up to be another great game. And the Avalanche go and beat on the Jets a little bit. Ones to watch in this season, watch the Penguins, watch the Stars, see what the Kraken can do, and never take your eyes off the Avalanche and the Red Wings. They collide against each other once again in the Stanley Cup, because I would love to see a renewal of that old rivalry. That's your hockey corner.
Love it.
Yeah.
All I can say is that
Pretty
Formula
decent.
One is melting down after their
Please.
Australia. Well, first off, Oscar Piastri wrecks on the formation lap. So
Doing his best Scott McLaughlin impression.
if you don't know, if you're not up to speed with Formula One, they made massive rule changes this offseason. These cars are drastically different in a lot of ways. And a lot of the drivers are kicking and screaming. Lando Norris said, "We used to have the best car. Now we have the worst car." Max Verstappen, who has threatened to just walk away from Formula One if he's not happy with the car.
Notable Twitch streamer, Max Verstappen.
Yeah, Twitch streamer Max Verstappen. And, and he wrecked on his qualifying out lap. It just, the rear end just locked up on him. It is, let me put it this way for Derek, you can understand. Formula One has unveiled the car of tomorrow. It is... They posted a graphic about how there was 400 something overtakes during the Australian Grand Prix, and it broke a record. And they had to turn the comments off because people were like, "Yeah, and how many of these passes actually stuck?" Because it was just George Russell and Charles Leclerc passed each other like 7 times on each lap while battling for the lead because of this new car.
They don't even have the advantage that the car tomorrow had, which was it looked different and it looked special. It had the cool little wing. And it looked like a big box.
Yeah,
and now
they got that. So Cadillac did not look great in their Formula One debut. That's to be expected. But we're hoping for their success because we're hoping to see Colton Herta race for them. And I would love to see Colton Herta race for Cadillac.
Points in his first ever start for Formula 2.
Yes, good for he. Actually, I finished it, I think, 8th, I think. So, yeah, Formula One spent a lot of money doing this, and it's not going super well so far. And so it's one race. It's really too early to judge, but a lot of drivers are kind of fed up with it, and fans are noticing in the Formula One. Formula One fandom. George Russell picked up the win for Mercedes, which was not much of a surprise because he had the fastest car. Toto built a rocket ship. What can I say? No, Mikey, no. I built a rocket ship.
And not in, who was it that?
Alfredo.
And not in the Alfredo way.
Not in the Alfredo way. No, all the wheels were on the ground.
So, takes us kind of the final thing we got today, the World Baseball Classic. Caden, have you been keeping up with that at all?
Loosely, I would say. I've been really trying to get into racing more and more. That's been my main focus.
Hey, fair enough. I'm never going to object to that. But I can tell you, I can give you a baseball update for
Sure.
once,
Let's turn the tables.
Well, we've got 4 pools in the World Baseball Classic. And as of Monday, when we're recording this, when this episode goes live, most of these are fully decided. But as of recording this, your teams that are locked in are Puerto Rico, who secured their quarterfinals berth already out of Group A. Out of Group C, it is Japan and Korea who have made it out. Out of Group D, it is the Dominican Republic and Venezuela who've made it out. That means eliminated right now are Australia, Chinese Taipei, Czechia, Israel, Netherlands, and Nicaragua from C and D. And then out from A is Colombia and Panama. Now, in that A group, Cuba and Canada will battle for that final spot in the quarterfinals.
That'll be a good one.
And then you'll notice I skipped over B completely. And that is because nobody is locked in. 2 people are out. Mexico, the United States, and Italy all have to decide who gets those 2 spots. Currently, the Americans 3-0 in the World Baseball Classic. If they were to win against Italy, they're in.
Which they're going to.
Mexico is 2-1. They'd love to get out of this pretty clean and maybe go get revenge in the USA later on in the tournament. But their fate, little more out of their hands now. Italy 2-0 so far. They got to face off against the USA on Tuesday. before they then, I believe, face off against Mexico for their finale.
I'll
So,
predict that
Italy,
score.
destiny in its
US.
hands.
Italy, US. I'm doing 9-2 US. I think
9-2.
Miles Mastrobuoni is gonna get another RBI for Team Italy. Shout out.
Well, I promise this is the last comments or call for the comments I'm going to go on here. But when this episode goes live, that game will be played. Let us know in the comments if Caden was right for one, and if he's worthy of being our baseball resident expert.
Oh
if he's
gosh.
wrong. So eliminated out of Group B is Great Britain and Brazil, but that means we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 slots in your quarterfinals decided, with 3 more on the table. Cuba, Canada, US, Italy, and Mexico all decide who makes it in. Only 3 of those 5, Caden, I'm going to ask you again, which 2 miss?
Which 2 miss? Italy, it's US, Canada, Italy, and Mexico?
And Cuba.
And Cuba. Italy and Cuba are...
Okay. Italy and Cuba out, US, Mexico, and Canada in. That's the call Caden's making. Again, you'll know that by the time this episode
Canada's
goes
my fringe
live.
pick, but...
And hey, with that, thanks for joining us here on this episode of the Announcer's Curse podcast, filmed as always at the bright and early time of 2 a.m. My name has been Derek Todoroff.
I am Ben Iben.
And Caden Barksdale.
And go fuel your adrenaline.